Like, share, subscribe to Live for Love TV.
Like, share, subscribe, Live for Love TV. Awesome!
Welcome back to Live for Love TV. Today's the 30th day of the third month of the 23rd year inside the 21st century. Hope everyone's doing well out there. I just recently was going over a book, and the book is called Having the Courage to be Disliked. That's written by Fumitake Koja. Hope I haven't destroyed his name too much, a Japanese writer. And in this book, he talks about having the courage to be disliked. And he basically subtitles it by saying, this is how you're going to find true happiness. Now, it may sound to some of you listening, how can that be? Well, remember, happiness is personal, because what may make me happy is not necessarily going to make you happy. You know, somebody may be happy with $500,000. Some people are happy with $1,000. Some people are happy with, less, more, house, car, whatever. Some material stuff. Some people are happy with travel. So happiness is personal. But when the Japanese writer made that statement, what he's basically saying is that no matter how personal happiness is, because we do things that a lot of people around us, our natural nature is to do things a lot of people around us or people in the wider society or family or friends or whoever may not like, we don't do them. And because we don't do them, we go to our graves unhappy. And he said you need the courage to be disliked to find true happiness. Now, I wouldn't bring it up if I didn't agree with it. I totally agree with it. I've experienced it. In fact, by putting on Live for Love TV on YouTube, that is exactly what I did. If you look back at some of the subjects that I have actually put up, if you look back at some of the subjects that I've put up, you're going to hear a lot of people dislike those subjects, and lots of people, personal friends, family, people who don't know me, people who probably never will ever meet me, but they dislike them, and they make comments that they dislike them, or I hear it personally. But I still put them up, and I still accept them, and I still redo different ones that sound very similar to those particular things, because these are true feelings and passions of what I believe. Things I say rub people up the wrong way. For instance, I will make a statement on Live for Love TV, which a lot of people don't like to hear, that I believe life is totally and utterly fair. Now, people are going to say, how can life be fair? Look back at what happened in the world wars. Look what happened in the Auschwitz. Look what happened during slavery. Look what happened in this. Look what happened in that. How can life be fair? Well, it depends on what your understanding of fair is. Because as I said, just like happiness is different for everybody else, fairness to you may be different to me. Fairness to me means that we've all had a chance to be. So I believe that life's fair to me in the condition I'm in now. Some people may say, well, your life could be a lot better. Yeah, it could be better, but then I'd have to do a lot more to get it there. I'd have to accept certain things. I'd have to, behave a certain way. And this is what people don't want to accept. When they say life isn't fair, they want to see that they get exactly the same as a man across the road without doing exactly what the man across the road has done. The old saying of walk a mile in my shoes before you criticize me. That's true in that statement. So to me, life is fair. It's fair, and it can be beautiful and it can be brutal, but it's fair. It's a paradox, because life to me is amazing. That's the good news. There's good and bad news in this. When you talk about anything, it's a paradox. But life to me is amazing. Life loves me. Life loves you. Life loves us all. That's how I see life. Life loves everybody. You wouldn't be able to watch this if life didn't love you. You wouldn't get any oxygen. What did you do? How much money did you pay to get the oxygen you're listening to me now, or whatever device you're using? How do you get to where you are in life? How did you make your own heart beat? Yep. If your heart stops beating, you die. I'm not making my heart beat. Life's making my heart beat. And when life says no longer my heart's going to beat, it'll stop beating. So life is extraordinary to me. But we take these things for granted as if we're doing everything. Life is doing it. We're observing it, we're living it, but life is doing it. So life is, the good news is life is extraordinary. Life loves you. Life loves you. But the bad news, and you can look at it as bad news, but it's I laugh because I don't see it as bad news. But you can look at it. It's just the old. I like the good news, bad news argument. The bad news is that life's gonna kill you in the end. Yes, it is. It's gonna kill me, and it's gonna kill you. Though it loves you, it's gonna kill you. That's the deal. That's the paradox. And when I say kill you, I mean you're gonna be no more in the form and shape and whatever. That, you know, one day the ground that you see behind me, you'll be in it, or you'll be in the ether, whatever you want to call it, whether you cremate yourself or go into the ground. But you will be in the ground. It's a paradox. And that's why I said it's not, I say it's bad news. It's not really bad news. It's just a paradox. It's the way life is. I spent all my life so far eating from the ground behind me. Eating the fruits and the vegetables and all the stuff and all the beautiful things that come from that ground behind me. That's what I've been doing, and that's what you've been doing. Somewhere along the line, people have been planting stuff and you've been eating it, and you've got bigger and grown and enjoyed your life. One day, that ground behind me is going to eat me, and it's going to eat you, and it's going to eat us all. Yeah, because that's the deal. It's a paradox. We eat from it, and it takes us back. I mean, it's the paradox. It's a beautiful paradox if you have the right glass is half full kind of concept that I have, rather than the glass is half empty. If you're there sitting there and you're feeling a little bit depressed, a little bit miserable or what, so I hope this is making you feel a little bit more cheerful, because it doesn't matter what people say and what they have. You know, there's nothing you can get tomorrow that can make you happier than me, if I make myself happy. That's why I talked about the dislike. I'm used to being disliked, and I can give you a little home truth. When I was about 6 or 7 years old, my sister said something to me that at first, she's older than me, and she said something to me. For a 6 or 7 year old person, I found it quite confusing, but she was so right. She obviously knew me at that age better than I knew myself. She said, people either like you or they dislike you. There's sort of no in between with you. And as a 7-year-old child, whatever I was, 7, 8 year old child, I don't know, 6 to 8, I don't know, I just thought, what's she talking about? What does she mean? You know, what somebody said to her. Who's talking behind my back? You know, that's the way you think as a 7-year-old. What's going on here? And I've grown up to find that is absolutely true. There's very little grey area with me. People, like me or they dislike me. They agree with me or they disagree with me. It's very, there's not much of a grey area with me. And I don't know. I think that's just certain people's characters. But I have my views and my beliefs, and and I'm probably forthright with them. So some people just can't take them. They just dislike me. And I'm not the only person. There's people like that all over the internet, all over the world. So such is life, and you live with what you have. You live with what you get. That's why I say life is fair. Some people, I call them people pleasers. There's no problem. That's what they like. That's what they want to do. They never get into an argument with anybody. They never get into a confrontation with anybody. They try to get on with everybody. But this is what the book is saying. By not being disliked, you can't never truly be happy. Happiness comes from being able to be yourself, being authentic. And whenever you're authentic in life, you're going to find a lot of people actually dislike you. Yeah, lots of people are going to love you as well, but lots of people dislike you. And you have to be able to live with that. And you have to also say they have the right to dislike you. You can't say they have no right to dislike me because I'm the greatest on earth and I'm this and I'm that and they should just like. No, it's ridiculous. They don't have to like you. They don't have to agree with you. Just like with Live for Love TV. I put a little thing out in before. I don't normally come with it and say, oh, like my videos, subscribe. Yes, I have a few people saying that for me, and I put it out on the front and back. But I kind of feel a little bit strange saying that to people, because people will like your video if they want, and they will subscribe if they want, and they will continue watching it if they want. That's up to them. They must have the right. Just like if you meet somebody in a relationship, you can't tie them into any relationship. You can't tie them up and say, right, you're with me, you've got to be with me forever, forever and a day. You can't do that. It's a revolving door. They came through the revolving door, and if they decide at some point they want to go back through that revolving door and leave you, you should make sure that door is oiled nicely so that they can get out as soon as they can. Because you shouldn't want people around you who don't want to be around you. What sort of self-love is that? To have people in your space that really don't want to be in your space, but you have a way of tying them up. That's why I said life is fair, because as bad as things have happened in the past, such as slavery. I mean, I don't know, because I didn't live through it, but we can only surmise. But the biggest slave during slavery was a slave master. He had to have been the biggest slave because he was completely enslaved to that system, and there was no freedom for him. And even when he came out and they gave him money to try and keep him, keep him up there and saying, "Oh well, you've lost your slave." The concept of trying to hold somebody else down, to me, when I think about it, I can't imagine, how do I hold anybody down? I'm not into jiu-jitsu, but you can't hold somebody else down by standing up on your feet. It's impossible. The person will get up and you can't hold them down. You can't just put your foot on top of them. The only way to hold somebody down is to be down yourself. Think about that. That's the only way you can hold another person down, is to be down yourself. Therefore, you're not at your true heights. And therefore, you're not your true person. And you're a sad person. You've got to be sad if you're trying to hold somebody down because you're on top of them. You've got to stay on top of them as long as they're alive. You can never get up and stand up, because the minute you get up, they'll get up. And this is not what Live for Love TV promotes, as you all know. I'm talking about being at your heights, being at your, standing on your feet. So not holding people down, letting people be free, let them do as they want. Because this is something that is passion. It's a passion of mine. It's the only reason I really came to Live for Love TV, is to try and share what I do myself. Not to preach or even to teach, but just to share what I do myself. How I keep my glass half full and not half empty. I'm just amazed at life. And why has life allowed me to be alive? Why? Some people turn around and say, "Oh, this is not right and that's not right." But why are you here? Why are you alive? Why have you got air to breathe and water to drink? Why have you, most of you, able to walk up and down, and some of you, doing this and doing that and going out? Why have you been allowed to do any of these things? Think about that before you start complaining about the things you don't like in life. Because if you start at what you don't like, you haven't started at the beginning. You've started at a certain point. You've waited to eat up all the things you like, and then when something's gone wrong, you now want to complain. That's the only time you want to talk. You need to live in some form of gratitude. The gratitude is what makes life good, what helps to make life loving and happiness. Once you start with gratitude, you notice the things that you don't like, they're minute. They don't last long. They can be very painful. I'm not saying I'm any better than you. If I butt my toe, I cuss some bad word. Yeah, absolutely. If something goes wrong, if one of your friends or someone in your family does you wrong, you get angry for a little while. It doesn't last. It doesn't last, because you recognize your heart's beating and you're not beating it. I don't even know. I've got a watch here that tells me how many times my heart beats in a minute. I have to get a watch to find it out, or put my hand on my wrist to find it out. I don't know, because I've got nothing to do with it. It's doing it, but I know I've seen when people's hearts have stopped beating, they are no more. So I have to give thanks and have gratitude for the things that life has done for me. And that's why I say, for me, life is fair. I hope you can think like that and go on to bigger and better things. Take care. See you soon. Live for Love TV.
One step more, one step more, one step more, one step more, until you reach your goals. One step more. This is Live for Love.